Hi guys, and welcome to another episode by Popular BA. Today's episode is a mock interview, which is going to be hosted by my dear guest, Nabeela. She is joining us today from Bedford, England. And in the daytime, Nabeela is a senior business intelligence analyst. She's been kind enough to join me in this role play, and she's going to play the role of a senior business analyst currently recruiting for a business analyst for a third-party healthcare organization in the UK. Hi, Nabeela. Thank you for joining.
Hi, Popular BA. It's a pleasure to be here today.
Thank you. So what I'm going to do now for all you listeners is, if you could please just listen to this mock interview today, just listen and think for yourself how you are going to answer the questions that Nabeela is going to pose. Please just sit down and think for yourself how you're going to answer similar questions during an interview. The aim is that you all get a better understanding of the sort of questions that will be asked during interviews and how to answer them. A quick disclaimer, I have not worked for any of the organizations that would be listed below. This is just a mock interview, and I'm just doing it to prepare all the aspiring business analysts out there for questions that they might face during an interview. Enjoy this and see you on the other side.
Let's begin. So how are you today?
I'm very fine, thank you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm very good. Thank you. So I think the first question I would like to ask is, what is a business analyst to you? Who is a business analyst?
Thank you for this question. This is a question that we always get thrown at us as business analysts wherever we work, because not everybody gets a full understanding of exactly what a business analyst does. So I'll try to explain it as best as I can. So in a nutshell, business analyst helps to implement or embed change within an organization. So business analyst works to identify the problems. Usually this is done by documenting a current process, as is maps, process maps, documenting requirements and understanding exactly what the issues are within the current processes and identifying ways to help improve process. And ways to help improve a process can be IT driven, or it might just be process driven. So the business analyst will help to identify the problems, help prefer solutions and implement the actual solution. And usually within projects, in my experience as a business analyst, I help to bring clarity. So I help to bring all the different stakeholders on board and ensure that everybody has a clear understanding of the ultimate goals and ambitions aligned with the ultimate goal of a project or a program.
Interesting. So I have had a good look at your CV, and I must say it is very impressive. Before we go in depth into more information about your CV and your experiences, can you just give me a quick, brief overview about yourself and your experiences?
Sure, I'll do that quickly. So I'll just state that I've been a business analyst for the Northampton NHS Trust in my most recent role, but I do have a combined 5 years worth of experience as a BA, working within the finance, the healthcare, and the international civil service sectors. In my most recent role as a lead business analyst, I worked on a £2 million IT-driven program, which was designed to bring about digital transformation within the NHS Trust. I was responsible for identifying inefficiencies within inpatient wards, the pathology department, and ensuring that I was able to drive and embed changes driven by IT in these areas. I was heavily involved in the documenting of as-is processes in a view to analyzing and carrying out gap analysis, which clearly showed the inefficiencies within these identified departments or wards. Those inefficiencies, when identified, I was also instrumental in helping to identify and develop to-be processes and then highlight how IT would ensure that the to-be processes are achieved and those inefficiencies are cut out completely. So my work was usually throughout the whole project lifecycle, from the discovery phase until when the project was actually taken up as a project, or seen developing also business cases, which was then taken over to the program board for actual sign-off and validation before the actual project became a project. And then I was also involved through the implementation phase, through tender, procurement, and implementation phases. So specifically, I worked on 3 projects. One was the pathology labeling and source project, queue management system, and also finally I worked on implementing a bed management system for the inpatient areas of the trust. I can also quickly touch on my previous role as a BA in the finance industry as well. I worked as a business process analyst on 3 projects which were run by one of the big 3. My tasks revolved around identifying areas for case handlers and quality control analysts to work more efficiently. Played an instrumental role in reducing the time it took to close a customer complaint, which was what the project was really about. Reduced that from 3 weeks when the project actually started to 5 days, saving our clients thousands of pounds in the process.
Okay, interesting. So I know you're aware that this role we're recruiting for is for a senior IT business analyst. And from your earlier response, you have worked on several IT projects within the healthcare space. And this means that we both know how IT-driven products can be difficult, especially within the healthcare sector. Can you give me an example of a situation that did not go smoothly and how you handled things on that project?
Thank you for that question. One of the examples I can actually think of is while working in my most recent role on the pathology and labeling and source project. One of the key problems we had at the start, after the project was actually signed off and it became an actual live project, was getting all the actual teams in a room to agree and sign off on all the actual requirements. So we were not able to get the clinicians, the service managers, the procurement lead, the technical team, or the third-party suppliers into a room. It was always difficult because of everyone's different interests and how busy everyone actually was. So one of the things that I was brought on to do was actually to ensure that we had a final OBS document, the output-based specification document, which contained all the requirements to have that signed off by all key members of the team. So what I did to get everybody in, or to get everybody to sign off in the end, in a nutshell, was rather than doing what quite a few BAs do in organizations, which is easy actually, is to get everybody 2-3 workshops and you get everything ironed out. I actually had to adapt. So what I did was I had several meetings with each team. So like the clinicians, I had several meetings with them, got their requirements signed off separately. The same I did with technical team, external suppliers, service managers. I was able to go around individually to get everybody's requirements and then sign them off separately and put them into the output-based specification document. After this was done, I just had one workshop, which I was able to get everybody within those teams to attend, agree on the requirements that hadn't been agreed on in the past, and everyone basically had the opportunity to see what I discussed with the other members of the team so that we had one unified document that went out to procurement. That basically is my example of how I was able to handle a difficult situation. It just really required me being flexible and adapting to the organization I actually was working for.
I think what really shines through from your experience is that you've worked with a range of stakeholders, and sometimes they don't have a clear picture of what they want. And you seem to have managed to help them think logically on how IT can help them solve their identified inefficiencies. You also seem to have worked with stakeholders that have conflicting needs, and you have ensured that they have all worked together to achieve a common goal, as with your OBS example. I also get from your experience that you have a good knowledge of the full project lifecycle experience. So can we circle back to how you deal with senior strategic stakeholders? So these are stakeholders that know what they want on a strategic level, but they might not understand fully what is required operationally. Do you have any methods of dealing with them and keeping them interested in the project?
Yeah, sure. Perfect example of working with senior stakeholders to help them get a full understanding of what will be required operationally and keeping them on board was also while working to prioritize requirements for the queue management system, one of the projects I worked on. So in gathering the requirements at our first workshop, we had one of the GMs of one of the inpatient areas actually on board. So what I did was I used the $100 technique. So one of the issues we had as well, which always happens within the health care sector, is the difficulty around getting all stakeholders to agree on the requirements specified for whatever solution it is. So this solution was specifically identified as a queue management system, which was being introduced, and it wasn't this on this specific case. It was actually developed in-house. So as part of this brainstorming exercise, what I did was I just wrote down or got everybody to write down all their ideas, and I transferred them to a whiteboard. And as soon as that was done, I gave everyone $100 bill, hypothetically speaking, and just told them to assign that $100 to what they found or what they decided was most important in terms of the requirements. And then everyone just basically assigned the $100. split it. And then we're able to, after this exercise, clearly see what each of the stakeholder found as most important. And then that led us to being able to better prioritize our requirements. At the end of this exercise, we were able to then gain some traction. Those requirements were prioritized. We helped to create a good mood as well in the project by getting everyone in the room, partaking in this exercise. And then as part of the reports that were produced, I also produced the cost benefits analysis document and a technical report, which was then shared with the whole team and helped us to actually come up with a final document that showed what our priorities were and helped the development team actually focus on those priorities. We got them out quickly for testing. Basically, the MVP was out within time and in budget, just like we actually wanted it to.
So let's talk a bit more about your work with developers and external suppliers. How were you able to manage their expectations and any conflicting demands?
Thank you very much for that question. So if I have to pick a particular example, I'll go with the label and source project again. From previous projects, learned the hard way, and I basically have in the past ended up missing requirements, just basically because I didn't work with the development team or the integration team early on in the process. Specifically in the previous project, I'd gathered all the business and functional requirements. And then later down the line, which is what most BAs do, is you now speak to the QA team and the integration team, trying to understand their requirements or how the actual requirements will work technically. But I learned my lesson. So what I did this time was I involved the integration team, third-party supplier team. I involved the clinicians, I involved the system admin, I involved everybody from the start when gathering requirements. And this was very helpful because with this solution that we're trying to introduce a mobile specimen collection system, which had to integrate with an existing order com system and the lab information management system. So we needed to be sure at the start, that was my strategy, to be sure at the start during the discovery phase that this was going to work. So I was able to gather the requirements correctly from everyone, including the third-party suppliers. This helped us down the line because I was able to better manage those requirements. It made implementation further down the line and integration very easy because they were all kept in the loop and they all contributed to the requirement gathering process.
That's excellent. I'll have to agree with you that getting the integration and development team involved early on is very important because it ensures that you can mitigate any issues that could come up down the line. So looking at your CV, I can see that you have also had some experience as a project manager. Would you say this has helped to improve your BA skill set, or is it just a skill set that you'll use later?
I would say that my experience as a PM has helped me to understand the full project lifecycle and what is required to manage a project in time and within the budget. It has given me a greater understanding of the different expectations within a project and offered me a completely different perspective. Personally, though, I'll say that it's helped me to focus my attention more on improving as a BA, as I feel that I thrive more as a BA, but it's given me the opportunity to also expand my horizon and my skill set and have a better grasp of what it takes to work as a project manager or manage people within a project.
Have you worked in an agile environment, and do you have any preferences?
This is always an interesting question. Personally, what I'll say is agile is not always the right fit for every organization. When I say agile, I'm saying agile in its pure form because it's basically a software development philosophy. So I'll say for me, I have a clear understanding of what it takes to work in an agile environment. I also have a clear understanding of what it takes to work within a waterfall environment. However, in most of my experiences, I've worked within organizations that have adopted a hybrid approach. Because to be truly agile, I believe that you have to work for a company that is very dependent on consistent releases, modifications that go straight to the users for feedback. So a company like Google, for example, you check your email today and there are probably new features that have just been released, and then we as customers provide instant feedback by either using that feature or not using that feature. A software company like Google would not survive if they are not fully agile because that's what the competition does, and they're highly reliant on bringing change quickly. However, on the ground, in most organizations, even those that I've worked for in the past that have said they're agile, that's not really what happens on ground because it's quite difficult to implement a purely agile system because there are many constraints that actually stop this from happening on the ground. So I'll say for me, I've invested time in understanding both principles. However, most of my work has been in organizations that implement projects via a hybrid approach. But I'm very comfortable working in either.
Okay. Do you have any experience managing or mentoring a team of junior BAs? Because if you're successful and are offered the role, we have a team of junior BAs that we would like you to mentor.
Yes, definitely. I'll be very happy to mentor a group of junior BAs if there's a clear reporting structure in place. So they don't feel like I'm trying to impose or anything. So is there like a clear structure in place,
Yeah,
reporting structure?
sure. There'll be a
Yeah,
clear reporting structure in
that's
place.
perfect. That's perfect. So just to answer your question, I'll say I've worked as a team leader on a few projects in the past, not specifically as a BA, but what I'll say is I do have experience of managing different sorts of teams in previous roles. As a BA, I'll say that I currently mentor about 15 aspiring BAs, provide them with career consultation services and coaching that they require to pass their BCS exams. So those are the experiences I have mentoring and managing people. So I think this role will suit me perfectly.
That's perfect. It's been a pleasure having you here today. I have enjoyed this interview and I look forward to speaking to you again. So do you have any questions for me?
It's my pleasure. What my only question is, I just wanted to confirm, have you always had this role for a senior BA, or is this the first time you're recruiting for a senior BA?
Well, this particular role is new. We just received a £30 million grant to start a program to transform the pathology department across Southeast England. So we need a few senior analysts to help us identify some inefficiencies and to drive change.
Wow, amazing. Yes, I hope to be a part of this. This sounds like a very exciting role to step up from what I currently do. The opportunity to manage junior BAs as well is going to be great. It's going to add to my skill set. I look forward to working in this very, very large program. When do you think a decision would be made from your point of view?
Well, we have a few more interviews and we'll get back to you by midday tomorrow.
Wow, perfect, perfect. I see you don't like to waste clients' time.
On time and in budget.
That's perfect. So thank you very much, Nabeela. And
You're welcome.
yeah, it's been nice taking part in this interview. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Have a good day too. Bye.
Perfect. Bye. So thank you guys for joining us today. Thank you, Nabeela, for being our host. It was a very, very, very good experience. I hope you've all learned a bit from us today. Critique us.
Leave your comments.
And just let us know how we did. Put yourself in our shoes. Those are real life questions that you can face during an interview. Think of ways to answer them better than we did. And we wish you luck in your future interviews and in your drive to actually get your first role as a business analyst or transition into this business analyst field, or carry on from being a junior analyst to a mid-level or senior analyst. All the best, guys.
Bye.